usual, this is the B part of IT. This is the B part of the part, the tech part. So you have a use case, Moab, a new one.
Yes, a light one this week from floatingpoint.com. We have Andrea Rossi.
Andrea.
And we invite him.
Ciao, ciao a tutti. Hi everyone.
Ciao Andrea, come stai?
Tutto bene.
Ma Moab, not in Italian.
In English.
Yeah, I know.
Moving my language.
Yes.
No, we're gonna have it in English. So Andrea, I read your floating point article about implementing Redis for one of our clients. It's an insurance industry client.
Yeah, a new potential new client.
Sorry?
A potential new client, yeah.
He was a new client. Good, nice. I didn't pass through this. It was from Infini span to Redis.
Yeah, they wanted
I tried to read, I tried to read because I read your article as a normal reader. I read about the two technologies. For me, they are almost the same architecture. It's a no SQL database, no cache storage, how you transact data, the security, how you scale vertical or horizontal. For me, they look very the same. Did we choose that we want Redis instead of Empty Spain, or that was the client's choice?
No, the client came to us and asked for implement Redis database because they want to test it and compare it to the actual database that we were using, which was Infinispan. So the client came to us, asked for create the infrastructure, and
So we didn't choose the technology. We didn't. The client came and he knows what he wants to migrate to.
Yeah, the client came and he asked for the enterprise version, and since we had some experience with Redis, because in the NGMS we already at least one client that use Redis as database, we of course accept the project.
Of course, definitely. And you have experience in Redis, but not in Infini Spain. So you cannot tell us why it is different, why the client wanted this.
No, I have no experience about Infinispan. I had the opportunity to participate to tests, and the test results were good for Redis. So at the end, the client decided for
Redis.
Yeah.
As per to your article, this was for performance issues. He had performance issues.
Yeah, with the previous database, we have some lack of performance, and Redis should be, it looks like more stable and reliable.
What did the environment look like? What did the client environment look like?
So we managed to create a total of 6 virtual machines, 3 for each environment, the development environment and the production environment. And we choose Redis Enterprise Linux 8 as an operating system, which is of course compatible with the Redis version. And then we install all the nodes, because we wanted to create a cluster with these 3 virtual machines in order to create the reliability with the cluster itself.
So there was no development environment? There was only the production?
No, of course, there was also the development environment, 3 virtual machines for this one and 3 virtual machines for the production, almost the same configuration between the 2 environments.
And how many databases are we talking about?
So we are talking about 2 instances for each environment, so a total of 4 database instances that we gave to the client.
Okay. And how does your job looks like in the first day? Okay, you have a proposal, you know the technology, you know the environment. What do you do?
Okay, so first of all, we managed to create the infrastructure based on the information that the client gave to us. So how many GPUs, how much RAM, the correct disk and partitions, and so on. And after we installed the 6 virtual machines, we started to install a Redis cluster. So on each node, we download every package needed for Redis to run. We install Redis on each node. And after a lot of questions and configuration, like firewall policy, network time synchronization, and so on, we managed to access the graphical user interface on each node of the cluster. So starting from the graphical user interface, we were able to create the cluster, so create the master node, and then join the two other nodes to the cluster. So at the end, we came up with a cluster for each environment with 3 nodes each.
Okay.
After that, the cluster was up and running, of course, but it was empty. So we started creating 2 instances for each.
Empty, you mean not connected to applications?
Okay, yeah, because there was an database instances because we create them after the creation of the cluster.
Yeah.
So first of all the cluster, and then
we
started created the 4 instances. And after we done this, we have created the endpoint, which is the string, that application point to connect to the database, of course with user and password credentials. And
this is like a port that you are listening to, and you need to give this IP address.
Yeah, we give the port number and also the FQDN, which is the name that it is resolved from the DNS server. So you can point, the application will point to that name on that port, and you should.
So after the clusters are set, the databases are set, configured on using Redis, of course. You would give just the listening ports to the client.
Not just the listening port, but also the name of the cluster
and the credential.
And the credential. So the application were able to access the specific instance.
Okay, and then there is gonna be a downtime when the client connects.
Yeah, the client had to stop their application, change the configuration of their application, modify, of course, the pointing to the new database instance, and then start up the application again. So
and that's it.
Approximately a couple of minutes.
Not long, not like hours or
no.
And sorry, what is the support like? What happens afterward? What if there is
So the project started at the end of August, and in the middle of October, the client switched to the production site to the new database instances, and at the moment we didn't have any problems at all. So the cluster and the database are looking fine. So we are proud of this project. But I think, and also the client bought of course the Redis software enterprise license. But the most important things for us, I think, is that the client also bought from Sorint 20 extra days of support in any case, just in case he need some request or have some issues. And so I think it's a little story to tell.
And you, Andrea,
Sorry, not just to point out some few key points here, because we, as we mentioned, we try to structure Sorint in trying to answer to all the needs of our customers. So we have customer with a very well-developed IT department. So sometimes, and then we have customer smaller sometimes that they have to different kind of IT department, IT approach. So we can deliver for both the customer a sort of, when we are leading the solution, we can, as you mentioned at the beginning, we are also providing vendor selection, try to give to the customer the assessment for evaluate the best option, the best architectural design, and so on. So this is a kind of service. But sometimes the customer comes to us only for coming from a different point of view. So asking for the best engineer for this kind of technology. So we call them the center of excellence. So we have center of excellence where we are very vertical in one technology, because also the customer can do, sometimes they can do for different many reasons, also internal documentation for standardization and so on. They can go for they can go for one technology or the other, and then they come to us to have the right support to implement, to investigate problems, and then to develop the right support for them.
That's why my first question to Andrea was, why, on which basis did we choose the technology? But the client came with clear technology that he wanted to implement. And of course, to end the conversation, Andrea, you did all the documentation necessary for the client. The support took place as well?
Of course, yes. The client asked for the documentation of what we have done, what we have configured, every kind of specs.
Every aspect.
So I document the entire project, of course.
I chose this specific case study, Andrea, because when I asked you, did you do it yourself, all the project from A to Z, you told me, yes, it was a simple project. I did bigger than this.
Yeah, it was a quite small project, but yeah, I was able to manage entirely by myself.
Sorint is wonder kids, Luca. I'm done. I don't know if you have any question for Andrea.
Thank you. No, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. Grazie. More experience to come.
Yeah. Thanks, Mohab.
Thank you, Luca. I would like to remind everyone to read the article on floatingpoint.it and their implementation of Redis Enterprise.
We will. Thank you, Mohab.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. See you next time. Bye, 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 bye.